passenger train that came through Inman was called the Golden State Limited, and that's what it looked like, because there's the Inman Depot and the Golden State Limited. It started at Rock Island, Illinois, and went to California. And it came back. It went west once and east once. And the original times are on the chalkboard. The eastbound was at 4:30 p.m. and the westbound was 11:30 a.m. Everything you see in here is Rock Island. Really unique is Carter Line, Rock Island. This is the waiting room. You were waiting for a train, you sat in here and just listened to the clock tick. It was very quiet.
Didn't have video games.
No video games. You had somebody to talk to, you felt good.
I hope it was warm out and not the cold winter. Or too hot, not 110 either.
Neighbors were important then.
This was the depot's master's room. This is where he had his scissor telephone, he had his telegraph key, which is the only one means of communication that he had. The levers you see there were the operated arms on the tower out front, which would let the train know when to stop or go on or what they would do. And if they had visitors, they would have time on their hands, they'd play checkers. And this is the uniform that would have been worn by the brakeman.
By the brakeman,
Yeah, the brakeman.
and the job of the brakeman.
He would have like passengers on the train and many other things. And this would have been a baggage room. Anything shipped in Yemen, anything shipped out of Yemen would have come through here. Trucks? No, there weren't trucks. No trucks, no semis.
So how did everything come, guys? There's no trucks, no semis. How did it come? By
Railroad.
railroad.
Was the only way.
By wagon.
You'll notice that milk cans, cream cans, they were shipped out of Yemen. Some went to Kansas City. In cars, box cars. Railroad tracks were nailed down. The nails they put in the tracks were by these. The railmen used those 8 hours a day. Go ahead and pick it up.
Now swing it.
How'd you like to swing that?
For 8 hours straight.
Heavy, isn't it?
Yeah.
There were generally two people, one across from each other. They would be swinging. He'd swing and then he'd swing and then he'd swing and then he'd swing. They got out of rhythm, they had a problem.
And they call them Gandhi dancers.
They call them Gandhi dancers. If you got your toe hit, you know why you dance.
I may interject the reason that these are as long as they are. If you missed, the rail only come up about this high, and you wouldn't break the handle.
Break the handle.
If this was a short one, you'd break the handle if you missed. So that's why this is as long as it is.
I'll show you a couple more keys.
So design is key. There's a purpose for
Thank you.
every design.
These are car brakes. To stop a car from rolling, you shove it under the wheel or a box car, or to get one started, you shove it on the wheel and press down on the handle. Because it was easy to move a box car. Do you realize that where the box car wheel touches the rail is only the surface size of a dime? Not much. So it's easy to move them. Once they get started rolling, they roll.
So when he says box car, what is he talking about? A car we drive or a
No,
car the
train
train?
car.
Yeah, the train car is a box one,
Train
not the
car.
engine or caboose, the box cars, yeah.
This would have been used to carry a rail. The rail would have fit in here. One person on each side would have picked up and carried the rail. Two people on each end, because they're very heavy, believe me. They're very heavy. This is a gravel raker. If you look around at the walls, you should notice something. A lot of names and dates. You notice those? Here is an R. Smith, 1911, 1912. These walls are full of pictures and names and dates. You can't see them, but they're there.
Wow.
On the outside of this depot, in that corner, the deck used to run around the corner, and hobos carved their names, and you can still see them. Crisco Red is one of the names.
You
They
guys know
rode the
what a hobo
rails.
is? You ever heard of a hobo?
My second Jimmy series book I wrote has hobos in it, and the hobo symbols in there.
So they're people who would ride the rails, from place to place, and basically they're roamers.
Right.
And so they didn't really have a home, and they jumped the rail to get to the next place.
But anything the community would have gotten would have been shipped in here, and would have been shipped out of here. This was the lifeblood of the town.
So what were some of the major imports and exports? Well, I know we had the milk,
Well, milk, cream, eggs, probably livestock, anything raised.
Grain,
Gone out, grain,
flour.
the flour sacks, the mill would have been here.
so we would have exported those, and then imports.
Most things ordered by catalog would have probably come in on train.
So what would be some examples of items that somebody might,
Furniture,
the furniture?
big items like that.
Milford Penner in that book, section 27,
Yeah.
talks about, he came to town, his dad bought a tractor, and how they unloaded it off the rail car, and how impressive that was, if you were a
Yeah.
kid looking at that.
Cattle would have been shipped out, cattle cars. You know what a cattle car is? Like a box car, except it has wooden 1x4 slats along the side with space between. Special bull you might have ordered would have come by rail. Maybe an old Ford even.
Coal would have come in because.
Coal,
Coal,
very,
yeah,
very, very
coal.
good coal.
Yeah, originally the coal, this area where the restrooms are would have been a coal bin. There's a door on the outside where the track people would have stopped and they'd have shoveled the coal off the car into the room that they would have used. Questions? When the German immigrants came, they came by rail, probably.
I didn't know that Wilkie had gold coins saying.
He did. Wilkie's probably came by wagon because they were earlier than the Rock Island train would have been.
And you just coveted the railroad to come through your town.
Oh, that was a lot. If you didn't get the railroad, you died. Yeah, you just died.
The railroad was the king. It was,
And all the western towns that were built with the hopes and the idea and plan that maybe the railroad would come here. That's where they built, where they thought the railroad was.
and almost all the land abstracts you see around here were owned by the railroad at one time. The
Yes.
original owners was the railroad.
A lot of land. Lifeblood of the town.